All right, is everybody ready to get started? All right, I'm going to assume that's a yes. So let me go ahead and turn my screen over. I'll introduce myself real briefly, and then I'll have Dr. Malakote introduce herself briefly. I'm Dr. Gardner. I am a professor of criminal justice. I have been at Cal State Fullerton since 2013. So I am going into my 14th year here at Cal State Fullerton. So been here a while, love teaching here, love being with the students. My areas of expertise, I'm more of a generalist, but really my area right now is policing. Prior to becoming an academic, I worked in policing for quite some time in civilian roles and have been studying policing and public attitudes towards policing, body-worn cameras, a whole bunch of stuff towards policing. So if you're in that area and when you take policing, you might take it with me. I also teach criminal justice policy, applied policy research. I teach a class called Policing the City and some other things. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Malakote to introduce herself, and then I'll get started.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. My name is Dr. Malakote, and I've been at Cal State Fullerton since 2003. So that's I'm going into my 19th fall semester, which it feels like just yesterday. So I figure at this point, I've been at Cal State Fullerton probably about as old as some of you are. So that's a perspective for you. I teach intro to criminal justice, corrections, and I also teach elective courses in women, gender, and crime and capital punishment. I also run our peer mentor program that works with CJ 100, which is our freshman level criminal justice intro course, which, given that you are mostly transfers here, many of you will have already taken that class at the community college. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. Prior to coming to Cal State Fullerton, I lived in both Washington State and Colorado, where I did my undergraduate and graduate work. And I also worked in juvenile detention, juvenile corrections, working with at-risk youth, and all of those programs related to kids under the age of 18. So with that, Dr. Gardner will take over for the primary part of our presentation. And I'll be here on chat, just kind of posting links, answering people's questions and the like.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I do believe this is going to be shared and posted somewhere. Hopefully somebody can answer the question as to where that's going to be shared and when. All right, so you are hopefully here for the criminal justice transfer student orientation. And if you are not, then perhaps this is a good time to kind of just check out and get to where you're supposed to be. So today we're going to talk about what is criminal justice, how faculty can help you be successful, how many units you should take, how campus resources can help you, what classes are required for the major as well as graduation, and a bunch of other things here. You can see we'll discuss double majoring or minoring, what classes you should take in the fall to start being successful, how to get involved, and where do you go for more information. So what is criminal justice? Hopefully you guys are pretty familiar with this, but criminal justice is the academic study of crime, law, and the justice system. A lot of folks get into it because they're super interested in all of those cop shows and drama shows and things like that. And a lot of us got into it for many of the same reasons. Criminal justice is an interdisciplinary course of study within the social sciences. And a criminal justice major is not just a job training program. In fact, it's not a job training program. You will, of course, enter jobs in the criminal justice field, most likely upon graduation, but we are really looking at providing you with the theoretical knowledge behind what you do and why you do what you do in the field. So you're going to be learning a lot of critical thinking skills, research and writing skills. We're going to expose you to a diverse perspectives and research. I know right now the world seems very divided and people are very partisan in their views. One of the things that I can tell you with criminal justice is you are going to encounter people with all different types of views, and that's okay. And it all adds to the conversation. It actually makes the conversation a whole lot deeper and more meaningful. And we get a chance to see things from different people's perspectives, and that enhances our own perspectives. You will never be asked to take a specific perspective in criminal justice. All viewpoints are welcome and entertained and discussed. So just make sure to have an open mind and enjoy having those discussions with your classmates. I find that's one of the best things about teaching criminal justice is we get a chance to really talk about some of these issues and see different perspectives and hear from people who have a different viewpoint. Sometimes it changes our perspective, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. So let's talk about the fall. What is fall going to look like? So right now we are planning a full in-person return to fall. So yay, where's the clapping sounds and emojis? So that's fantastic. What we're expecting and what we've been told is that we will be doing COVID testing on campus. And if you are vaccinated and choose to share that vaccination information with the campus, then you can opt out of the COVID testing. Masks will be mandatory on campus, including in classrooms. All of this is subject to change because we are, 2-3 months out from the start of class. And a lot of things have changed in the last year, as we're fully aware. And sorry if you guys can hear all my dogs in the background, but we have a neighborhood where we have a lot of walkers, and when one dog starts barking, they all start barking. So I apologize if you can hear that in the background. We also will still have a limited online class availability. So there are going to be more online classes than you would typically see or you would have seen pre-COVID. And so you're going to see a mix. You're also going to see hybrid classes. So your schedule, you could either intentionally choose or just choose by schedule a schedule that has both online classes and hybrid classes and fully in-person classes. So what's a hybrid class? A hybrid class is something that you might see the online content and you might be responsible for watching lectures online. And then you come into the classroom one day to interact with your classmates and your teacher and to do other exercises and whatnot. So a hybrid class is one where you would expect to meet some of the time, but not all of the time in person. We also have fully in-person classes where you're expected to go to in-person classes just like you did pre-COVID. So for example, I have a policy class that meets on Tuesday and Thursday in the afternoon. That's going to be a fully in-person class where we're together Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. I've also got a policing class that is going to be fully in person on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. I also have an online policing class that will not be in person ever. I know Dr. Malakote is teaching a hybrid class where she's in class some of the time and having students do stuff online other times. So you're going to see a real mix. So just be prepared to be flexible. We are going to show you how you can tell in the course schedule when you're choosing classes what the class looks like, whether it's fully in person or online or whatnot. And I think probably most of you know the terms synchronous and asynchronous now. It's not, those are not terms that most of us knew a couple years ago or certainly pre-COVID, just a small number of us who taught online. So a synchronous online class means that you're taking the class from your computer, but at a certain time. So maybe Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m., you have a synchronous class, meaning you are on your computer wherever you want to be on your computer, but you are in that class from 10 to 11:15 Monday and Wednesdays. An asynchronous class is you're online and you can do that course anytime you want. You can do it at midnight, you can do it at noon, you can do it on Saturdays, you can do it on Tuesdays, whatever it is that you want to do, provided you meet the deadlines stipulated in that class. So one of the things that's going to be important this semester is finding a system that keeps you organized. Because you're going to have so many different things going on, probably make sure you start off strong and get your calendar set up. download your assignments from Canvas if you have professors who are using Canvas. And that actually is our learning management system. Some of you are familiar with this. I know high schools are using it now. I know community colleges are using it. Some of you will be transferring over from Blackboard, but Canvas is pretty intuitive and there are a lot of tutorials online. One of the nice features of Canvas is if your instructor puts due dates in the calendar, then you can download the calendar into your phone so you know what's due and when, and it shows up on your phone. All right, so how can faculty be helpful? So make sure you read your course syllabi. So for each of your courses, you'll have a syllabus. Make sure you read that, highlight it, and ask questions of your professor. So that's the contract between your professor and yourself. And if you do the things that your professor asks you to do, then you should be able to pass and hopefully do very well in the class. Introduce yourself to your faculty member, whether or not you're online or in person. It's really nice to see people face to face and introduce yourself and hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm excited for this semester, or you know, I am fearful of this course topic. You know, I once introduced myself to a stats professor and said, what do I need to do to pass this class because I'm not good at math? And he then told me that I needed to change my attitude because it wasn't my aptitude. Anyway, long story short, he rode me that entire semester and made sure that I understood the material. And I did very, very well in that class, but that's because I introduced myself to him and I shared with him that I was really afraid of this class and of being able to pass the class. And as a result of doing that and sharing with him my fear, then he was able to sort of take me under his wing and make sure that I got a little extra attention because I had a lot of fear and doubt, self-doubt about doing that course. Turns out I'm really good at stats. So thank you to Professor Johns, who really made me good at stats by doing that. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself. We really enjoy it when you do that. And of course, like you, we are looking for contact with other human beings now after COVID. Similarly, if you are in an online class, please turn your video on when you talk with your professor. If you're going to office hours or whatever, it's really discouraging for us to see a lot of black screens and just names on the screens. We really do want to connect with you. So even if it's an online class, come to office hours, turn on your video, say hello, even if it's for a brief second. Hey, I don't have much time. I just wanted to introduce myself and say, I'm glad to be in this class, whatever. Ask questions. You know, we've been doing this a long time. Sometimes we're not always so clear. Sometimes there are some really good questions that we didn't think of. Sometimes there's questions that other students have or a lot of students have. And if nobody asks that question, we don't know we're not being clear. So we don't expect you to know everything. And that's why you're in the class learning. And so we welcome questions and make sure to do that. Again, visit faculty during office hours and then reach out for help. Sorry, I'm looking at a second monitor here, so I may look like I'm not looking at you. And really the reaching out for help, do that before you're drowning. A lot of times professors, we've seen a lot of things over the years, and a lot of us can help throw life preservers to you. We can help offer guidance and suggestions on how to improve, how to maybe even drop a course, how to approach a course differently, how to study differently. We have a lot of experience and we are happy to share that with you. We need to know that you're struggling in order to be able to offer you that assistance. And if you let us know ahead of time that, hey, I'm wading into some deep waters. I got some pretty big stuff going on in life and I'm going to do my very best here, but it's helpful for you to know I'm going through X, Y, or Z, then we can check in on you. We can work with you to ensure that you're meeting the deadlines. And if there's some appropriate accommodations, we can help arrange those for you in appropriate circumstances. But what we can't really do is after you've missed a bunch of deadlines, say, oh, okay, no big deal. Generally speaking, that's not something that's really fair to do. So if you're anticipating drowning, come talk to your professors ahead of time so that we can help guide you, because that is what we're here for and we've done this before. So how many units do you plan to take? So when you're thinking about graduating, if you want to graduate in 2 years, most of you are coming in, you're going to want to take 15 units. That's 5 classes typically. At least in the social sciences, you've got a few 1 or 2 unit classes, and you've got a few 4 or 5 unit classes, but primarily most of our classes are 3 units. So if you want to be done in 2 years, just doing fall and spring, you want to take 15 units a semester. If you want to graduate in 3 years, you can take 12 units a semester. Now, you can change that up by taking summer or intersession, but I know a lot of us need a break between our semesters and during summer. So I do not recommend people going to school year round. Your brain truly needs a break. So if you do a summer session, try not to do 2 summer sessions, or if you're doing the 2 summer sessions, definitely don't do winter session. Figure out what works for your own schedule, and just try not to be going to school year round, because you really need a break. So how do you determine what is going to be best for you? One of the things you don't want to be doing is going to school full time and working full time or caregiving full time. So if you're responsible for caregiving for a child or an elderly family member, or any other type of family member who needs help, and you're working, you don't want to be taking a full course load, because you're going to be really stressed and you're not going to do as well as you could do if you were not stressed. So you can see here on the chart that if you are working 40 hours a week, between 30 and 40 hours a week, you should only be taking 6 to 9 units. You should not be taking 12 or 15 units, and you definitely should not be taking 18 units. So really keep in mind that nobody is meant to be going to school full time and working full time. People who try and do that find that they don't succeed at one or the other, and often both. And that's what's causing a lot of folks to be really stressed. So just don't do it. When you're studying for class, you should take about for a 3-hour class, you'll want to spend an additional 6 to 9 hours completing assignments. So reading and doing other assignments, taking notes, studying for exams, things like that. So kind of remember that you're looking at basically about 9 hours per class. Campus resources. So we've got the University Learning Center. That's mostly for our 100 level classes and some of our 300 level GE classes. And excuse me, they have support there for studying for exams, tutoring. They have note takers in a lot of these classes. So they have tutors in these classes, and this is free of charge. There's no cost to this service, but you're going to find the University Learning Center mostly in your GE classes. They also have some writing help, so you can go there for that. We also have a writing center that's quite good, and you can see there where to access it. It's in the library, and you can also go walk in. But if you're on the library website, you can sign up for time slots, and that's the best way to do it, because it's all their appointments are online, and you have like a 30-minute appointment or 25-minute appointment, and working on whatever aspect of writing you want to work on: organization, grammar, sentence structure, spelling, verb tenses, whatever. We also have Grammarly, and I really recommend you use Grammarly. I've seen a lot of improvement in a lot of students' writing over the course of this last year, because they've been using Grammarly and they've been learning how to correct their own errors. Because what Grammarly will do is it'll pick out your common errors and it'll show you how to fix them. And then once you've been shown how to fix them a couple times, then you yourself, when you're proofreading your papers, can fix them on your own. So Grammarly is free to students, and it is a fantastic resource. You can see student software. There's a lot of software you have available to you for free as a result of being a Cal State Fullerton student. So if you go to that link, then you can get that. That's just our IT department. So if you go to our IT and click on students, and it'll have a whole host of software applications that you can get for free, including Adobe. All right, let's talk about graduation. So everybody needs 120 units to graduate. you guys are all coming in with quite a few units, probably at least 60, if not 70 or more units. And you're going to have something called a TDA, and that's a tightened degree audit. That keeps track of what classes you've taken and what requirements you've met. We're not going to actually go over a TDA today because we're just focused on getting you into classes, but there's tutorials on how to read that. It's also really easy. It's really intuitive. But everybody needs 120 units to graduate. Some of those units need to be taken at Cal State Fullerton. Some of those units need to be in specific GE categories. And then you also have some university requirements for writing and things like that. You have major requirements that are criminal justice specific, and we'll go over those in just a minute. And in fact, we've got 39 units in the criminal justice major, and your GE units are somewhere between 42 or 48 units, depending upon how many classes you double count. So you can see that even with your completing your GE classes and your criminal justice major courses, you're only going to have 81 to 87 units. So you need another 30 to almost 40 units in order to graduate. You can take those extra 30 plus units in anything. You can add a minor, you can add a double major. If you plan accordingly, then you can get out of here with essentially a major and a minor, or two majors, in the same amount of time it would take you to get one. But you need to be really thoughtful about how you plan your classes, and you need to be really diligent to not fail any classes so that you can pass them all and stay on track. So here's a couple considerations that you should think about in terms of GE classes as a criminal justice major. So these are classes that we recommend because they pair well with criminal justice, or we found that students have done well, our students have done well in these courses. So you're going to need at least 9 units of GE that are taken here at Cal State Fullerton that do not transfer from your community college. You have at least 9 units of upper division GE are required. So those are most likely the same classes, right? So you're going to need 3 units from GE areas B5, C4, and D4 that are upper division. So these are probably going to be at least your 9 that you're taking from Cal State Fullerton. If you are taking for the GE category B5, you might consider taking social sciences or sociology 303. That's statistics for the social sciences. And we have students who do well in that, and it fits well with the major. If you're interested in going to law school, then you should consider registering for Philosophy 106. To satisfy your A3 requirement, which is critical thinking, if you haven't already satisfied that. Most of you will have already satisfied that coming in from community college, but if you haven't, Philosophy 106 is a great complement to criminal justice. Criminal Justice 300, that will satisfy the GE requirement D4. So that's what you should be taking there, unless you're double majoring in something that also satisfies the D4 category. Honestly, the D4 category is the easiest one for our students to satisfy, because that's the one that students seem to be most interested in and are most drawn towards. So for the criminal justice major, we have 7 core classes. These are 7 required classes. We also call them core classes. Criminal Justice 100. This one you most likely filled at community college, so you probably don't need to take that course here. So you probably only have 6 courses you need to take here at Cal State Fullerton. Criminal Justice 300, which is starred and which I just mentioned, is a GE class, so that'll fill your D4. We recommend you start with that class in the fall. So the first thing you want to try and put on your calendar or on your schedule of classes is Criminal Justice 300. And the reason for this is because it is a gateway to all of our other criminal justice classes, and you need to take it before you take anything else except for 100. So You can take 300 at the same time as any of our 300 level classes, but you cannot take any 400 level criminal justice classes until you've taken and passed 300. So that's the first thing you should put in your shopping cart when signing up for classes. So get that one in there and then fill the rest of your classes around that. 310A is criminal law. That's about procedure. You got policing. Then you're going to learn about theories of crime and delinquency, which is why a lot of us are here. Why do people commit crime? Right? This gets to be some of the good stuff. You're going to take 340, which is on research methods. And then you're going to take corrections. And you do not have to take them in that order. In fact, what I can tell you is we do not recommend taking criminal law and criminal justice research methods at the same time. So you can take any other classes at the same time, but we do not recommend taking those two classes at the same time. I also would not put theories of criminal justice with research methods or criminal law. So those are kind of three that I would definitely not take those three together at the same time if you can avoid it, unless you're a really strong student. On top of the 7 required classes, you have 5 electives that you need to take. So that's 15 units, of which 3 of those classes have to be at the 400 level. So you'll see a whole list of classes, and you have to take 3 of those classes that have a 400 in front of them. Dr. Malako teaches 404, which is capital punishment. I teach 405, which is criminal justice policy. I teach 415, which is policing the city. I teach 493, which is applied policy research. There's a whole slew of 400 level classes. There's dozens and dozens to choose from, including internships. And you can do an internship or up to 2 internships, and those also count for your 400 level classes. You have to do a writing requirement, so you have to take a writing class, and that writing class can either be English 301 or it can be 365. If you are considering going to law school, we recommend you take 365. If you are not planning to go to law school, we recommend you take 301. This is another good class to start with this semester. So if you can get into English 301 or 365, I recommend that. I also recommend really putting a lot of effort into your writing class, because being a good writer translates to better grades in every class. The better you're able to get across your thoughts and explain your position and write an organized, coherent, thoughtful essay, your grade is going to go up in every class that you're able to do that in. So when you take writing, make sure to spend the extra time getting it right and doing it well, because not only does that translate to better grades in class, it also means you're going to be able to write better cover letters trying to get a job. You're going to be able to explain yourself better in interviews, and you're going to get more opportunities for jobs because you can write well. So make sure that you do spend a lot of time there. I know a lot of us hate writing, myself included, but it really benefits you the rest of your life to really put the effort into getting to be a really good writer now in college while you have those resources. So make sure you take advantage of all the resources with writing, because it's super important, not just for your classes, but for life. And again, I hate writing, so I feel you. Like, I know it's not our favorite thing to do, but you really, really will see a lot of benefits if you spend the time to do it right. We also have internships available. These are not required, but they are certainly recommended if you can get an internship. So internship is where you work for school credit. Most of the internships are not paid. Occasionally you'll find an internship that is paid, but we have internships with the probation department, with law offices, with police departments, with all sorts of different, with volunteer agencies and nonprofits. So there are a lot of different agencies and organizations that offer students the opportunity to come work for them. Generally, it's 10 hours a week during the semester. And it's a great opportunity to find out the jobs you either like or don't like. So when I was in college, my internship was as a juvenile probation officer. And being a juvenile probation officer is a great, great job. And it's a fantastic profession. One of the things that I learned when doing the job, because that's one of the things I thought I wanted to do, was it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And so as great of a job as it is for somebody else, I found out that it wasn't the best fit for me. Which is fine. Here I am as a professor, which is definitely a much better fit for what my skills and talents and interests and passions are. So even though I wanted to reform juvenile delinquents, being a juvenile probation officer, which fit really great with that goal of mine, it turns out the job itself, I was not perfectly situated for. It was just something that that I didn't love it the way I thought I was going to love it. And that's one of the benefits of internships. You might find that with something else. You can also do our DC Scholars Program, which is doing a internship in Washington, DC. It was virtual this year, but I'm sure it will be back in person probably this next year. So when you apply for an internship, you need to apply early because most of our internships are criminal justice agencies. They're going to be running a background check. And so you need to have time in order to be able to pass through that background check. So depending upon where you want to apply, if you want to apply for an FBI internship, then you're going to need to apply a year ahead and know that those are really, really competitive. There are other less competitive internships around. And again, depending upon if you're going to be in a criminal justice agency or not, many of them require background. So you definitely want to be thinking about that well ahead of time, at least a semester ahead of time, and planning that out. You can apply 6 units of internships towards the 120 units. So you cannot take 6 units of internship in one semester. You can take 3 units one semester and 3 units another semester. So that would be a full year of internship if you wanted to do that. If you're interested in internships, Dr. Spiropoulos is organizing those for the Criminal Justice Department. And if you're looking for a pre-law internship, Dr. Castro is arranging those. Dr. Stambaugh and Dr. Doucette are in charge of the Cal State, the DC Scholars Program, going to Washington, DC. So those are also contacts for you there. And I'm sorry I'm going through this so quickly. I know Dr. Malakote is working busily to try and keep up with all the questions and put links in there. So if you're thinking about a minor along with your major, your criminal justice major, here on your screen is a list of minors that complement well with criminal justice, both in terms of coursework, and we find our students are interested in a lot of these things. So the top 4 there are within our own division of politics, administration, and justice. The other ones that are located below that are housed in other departments on campus. So we have a lot of folks who are minors in sociology or psychology or philosophy. If you're interested in crime analysis or that sort of thing, some type of intelligence analysis, geography might be a good thing. If you are looking at going into the policing profession or probation or corrections, doing any of our African American, Asian American, Chicana studies or human services are fantastic. If you're looking at nonprofits or working with victims, child and adolescent studies are also good. If you want to be CSI, depending upon the type of CSI or forensics you want to do, like whether you want to be in the lab or you want to be in the field, you want a minor or double major in biology or chemistry. So consider that. Also, there's a minor in anthropology that is specifically, it's a forensic anthropology minor that you might be really interested in if you are interested in a career in CSI. Foreign languages, if you want to do any federal law enforcement service, foreign language is great, or just even being in the field. Our police are looking for people who can speak a variety of foreign languages, and our federal agencies are definitely looking for folks who can speak multiple languages. Computer science and business are also good minors. And this is because crime is changing and we don't have as much street crime as we did when Dr. Malakote and I were in your shoes in college. And we have a lot more white collar crime. We have a lot more digital crime that's happening. We can see that all over the place, right? And so we need folks, we need investigators who can actually know how to investigate these things. So to understand how computers work, how coding works, that sort of thing. Also forensic accounting. So folks who are good with numbers, police agencies, federal agencies, are looking for folks who have these skills and talent. So make sure to combine your knowledge of criminal justice with something else to make sure you're highly marketable and that you get those opportunities for jobs when you are done at Cal State Fullerton. All right, so what should you take your first semester? So I already mentioned Criminal Justice 300. That's the first thing that's in your basket because that is the gateway class in criminal justice to all the other criminal justice classes. And it also satisfies your D4 requirement. If you can get into SOC 303, that's another great class to start off with. It'll get you on the right footing. It'll satisfy B5. You can also look into a C3, so explorations in the arts or humanities. Or we have a new ethnic studies requirement. So if you are this catalog year, then you're needing to complete an ethnic studies requirement in order to graduate from the CSU. So look for something in ethnic studies. And I know that there's a lot of classes open right now, so that might be a good one to go for. If you're looking to satisfy your cultural diversity requirement, AFAM 335, the history of racism, or other AFAMs are really good. We also have Criminal Justice 385, which is race in the criminal justice system. I think we've renamed that. You can also pick one criminal justice class. Please do not pick more than one criminal justice class this first semester. We have a lot of transfers who are trying to get classes. And if you go and take 3 classes, that means 2 other people are not going to be able to get a criminal justice class. So be considerate of your fellow students and transfers here so we can all get a little bit of our major. I recommend either corrections 345 or policing 315. You can also do 330. Those are also, that's another good class you can take. You could take 310A, criminal law substantive, but if you're planning to go to law school, that's something you could take. But again, when you're transferring from the community college to Cal State Fullerton, you're going to see that there's a jump up in academic rigor and expectation. So just like when you went from middle school to high school, there was a bump up in what was expected of you. And when you went from high school to community college, there was a bump up in what was expected. You're going to find the same thing here. So I recommend taking policing or corrections along with 300 and SOC 303. The other option is English 301 or 365. So getting your English out of the way would be another good option here. If you have not taken CJ 100, then that is a good course for you to take. Or if you have not taken an American government course, that is another new requirement for this catalog year. Those are other options, but those two, hopefully you satisfied at the community college. And so most of you will not need to take CJ 100 or an American government course, but you'll have to look at your TDA and work with a counselor to figure that out. So how to, sorry. Okay, so when we're looking at searching for classes, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the class search feature, and a couple key things to make sure you're searching for the right type of classes you're looking for. So first off, make sure you're in the fall 2021 term. And then if you're looking for criminal justice classes, make sure criminal justice is selected, undergraduate, and then show open classes only. That way you're not seeing all the things that are not open. If you want to search by schedule, so let's say you get that CJ 300 class and you are also working or caregiving, and so you need to only be at school excuse me, like say 3 days a week or something, or 2 days a week. And so now you've got your CJ 300 class set, and it's on Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. So if you want to start building a schedule looking for, well, what other diversity classes will fit in? Is there a Soc 303 at the time I want it? What other classes, is there an English 301 on Monday, Wednesday? If you want to search by schedule, you can click down here where it says to search by schedule, and it'll open up another box. So when I do a search, and this is something that comes up. So these are criminal justice classes, and I just wanted to share with you what the classes look like so you know whether something is online or in person or hybrid. So first off, these are our online synchronous classes. So the way we know this is because we see web fully online instruction. So we know that this is an online class, not an in-person class. And we know it's synchronous because there's a time listed here. So if you take this class with Dr. Level, you are expected to be online Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 to 9:45. Our online asynchronous classes look like this. See where we're going to look at the pink. So we're going to skip the green for right now, go down to the pink. The web fully online. So that tells you it's an online class. And then when it says TBA for the days and times, that means it's asynchronous. That means you can do it on your own schedule. So if you see the web fully online instruction, you know it's online, not in person. And to know whether it's synchronous or not synchronous, you look at the days and times. If it says TBA, it's on your own time. If there's a time listed, then you have to be there at that time. These other classes in green are in person. And the way we know this is because there's a room listed. So you're going to go, if you're taking this 340 Research Methods class with Dr. Ackerman, then you're going to go to room GH 246 on Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 8:15 in the morning. All right, so I put on here open, waitlisted, and closed classes. So anything that has a blue square is closed. So you're not going to be able to get into that class. The wait list is closed, the class is closed. The yellow triangle says that the wait list is open, so you can get yourself on the wait list if you want. And then the green circle is an open class. So that's what will appear if you search just for open classes. So if you just search for open classes, you would not see the classes that have a yellow triangle or a blue square. You would only see the green circles here. You can see, you can email the instructors here, and you can see who has textbooks on file. So you can see what textbooks are required, and you can email the professor. The other way, so once you, let me go back a second. So you can click here, these are hyperlinks where on the class and the section number. And when you click on that, it'll take you to a class page that looks like this. And so this was from my class last year, but it tells you what time it is, and it tells you that was fully online. So this was a synchronous class that I held. And it tells you what the class enrollment is and what the wait list total is. So this is an in-person class. You can see you got your Monday, Wednesday, 1 to 2:15 in humanities. You can see that it's open. You can see that currently, or whenever I did this, there was a capacity for 99 and only 8 people had enrolled up to that point. And that's because we're saving seats for you guys in these classes, so nobody takes everything. So you guys all have something you can get into. So yeah, hopefully that, it's hard for me not to have you guys being able to ask questions to me while we're here, but it tells you also the final exam schedule. So you can put that on your calendar. This tells you that on December 13th at 1 p.m. to 2:50 in room Humanities 110. That's when the final exam is. So you can put that on your schedule ahead of time too. So if you want to get involved on campus, we have our Criminal Justice Student Association, Alpha Phi Sigma, and Pre-Law Society. So Alpha Phi Sigma is our honor society. It'll take at least a semester before you're able to join that, because you have to have a Cal State Fullerton grades and transcripts, I believe. And then we've got the Pre-Law Society, and looks like I forgot the Criminal Justice Student Association there. If you have any questions about that, you can contact me. Dr. Kopp and I are co-advisors of CJSA, and Dr. Herrera is the advisor for Alpha Phi Sigma, and I believe Dr. Castro is for the Pre-Law Society. And if you want to get involved outside of the department, you can just go to Student Affairs, and they have a long list, and you can connect with a slew of student associations on campus. I think we've got, I don't know, we've got way more than 120 of them, because I looked at the list last semester. If you want more information, you can download an advising handbook. So let me just tell you that the advising handbook that's currently on there is for fall of 2020. We are revising it prior to this fall with the couple changes that have been made. So you might want to wait to download that if you're the current catalog year. Here are some hyperlinks for you to be able to do advising appointments. And at Cal State Fullerton, you're going to have two different types of advisors. You're going to have a major advisor, and that person helps you, or at least we do major advising within the department. So what that means is a major advisor can help you with questions on your major. So if you're a criminal justice major and a sociology minor, then you will have somebody in criminal justice who can help advise you to make sure you're making progress towards your major. And you'll have somebody in sociology helping you to make sure you're making progress on your sociology minor. On top of that, you have a general advisor who will help you make sure that you are making good progress on your general education requirements and your university requirements. So at Cal State Fullerton, we separate those things. Some colleges keep them all together, but here we separate them. So if you have questions about meeting general education requirements, you're going to see a general academic advisor. If you have questions about your major or your minor, you're going to see an advisor in that specific department. So here are some links for more information. Our website is helpful, so you can see that it's just HSS, because we are in the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. So you got hss.fullerton.edu, and then just /PAJ, so our department. If you want general information, you can see there's a bit.ly PAJ wizard, which will help you, which provides a bunch of videos on how to read your TDA, on how to schedule classes, all that sort of stuff. If you want to meet with an academic advisor for your general education advising, you can see you're going to go to the Academic Advising Center, so fullerton.edu /AAC for Academic Advising Center, and then our criminal justice advising information. So now is the Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And Dr. Malakote, do you want to answer some of these questions?
Yeah, you know what, I'm just going to review here. Let me turn on my video. Let me review just really briefly some of the common questions that I've been answering here in chat. You know, I would encourage students just to kind of scroll back through. There's been a lot of questions about, well, students, they took criminal law or corrections at the community college level, and so they wonder whether or not they have to take them here now. And what I've been telling them is, yes, those courses that you took at the community college are completed at the lower division level. And we only have one lower division course in our major curriculum, and that's CJ 100. So chances are, like Dr. Gardner said, you'll be able to waive that requirement, but you will still need to take criminal law, corrections, policing, and all those courses at the upper division level. Now, those units aren't lost. They do still count towards your 120 units that you need in order to graduate. They just don't count towards the major in terms of fulfilling those requirements. Students have also asked about contact information about things like where to meet with an academic advisor for GE advising, or how to submit their transcripts, right, and get those updated. I've updated those kind of links here in the chat. Let's see here, I'm just looking here. What else? I've also posted information about our faculty that are in charge of our internships. I've posted their contact information here in the chat. We've also talked a little bit about if you can find your registration date, and registration just opened today. You can find your registration date on the student portal. Now, if you don't see a registration date listed on the portal, you're basically going to email admissions@fullerton.edu, and also HSS success team at fullerton.edu. And I've put those emails here so that way people can follow up about how to get their orientation appointment. Attendance is being taken today. We do have somebody here online that is taking attendance, so you all will get credit for fulfilling that major orientation component. Let's see here. I also posted a link for students who want to add that double major or a minor. The first time you add a minor or a major, it doesn't charge you anything. I believe after that, there is a $20 fee if you keep changing your major online. And again, that is an online form. Some people said, well, I thought it was really expensive to add a minor. Well, most students can complete their GE and their major and a minor within those 120 units, right? As long as you kind of plan accordingly. If you're adding a minor late in the game, generally we don't advise that, because mostly it will extend your time to graduation, which means that you're going to be paying for additional semesters. So in that case, yeah, I guess it can be a little bit more expensive, right? But that's because you're adding units beyond the 120. I've also posted a link, and I'll do it again here really quickly. A couple of students have said, well, where do I go for one-on-one advising right now? Dr. Gardner and I are hosting sessions both today and on Friday for one-on-one advising, and I have posted the link on where to go to sign up for that. I'm just kind of doing a little list here. Is there a list of all the upper division courses that I will need to take that we can look at? So George, if Dr. Gardner, if you can go back just to your single screen about the major requirements. There are, as she talked about, there are 7 required courses, 5 electives, and a writing requirement. That is for our CJ major. If you have a question about the list of GE courses that you need to take, I'm going to put that information right here in the chat, and that'll let you know what you need to take there. We have had some changes recently to GE, so you will want to double check your catalog year. Catalog year is kind of sort of what dictates the rules that you go by. And when you look at your Titan degree audit, or we call it the TDA for short, you can find what your catalog year is. It's printed in the upper right-hand corner of the first page. And so when you're going to look at what are the requirements for GE and the like, you're going to want to look at your catalog year, because that's going to change a little bit about what courses qualify or what categories there are. Vanessa, I don't know if there's any openings for today. I'm actually not in charge of the creation and management of that form, but I would go ahead and take a look at that and see whether or not that will give you that opportunity. This PowerPoint and the recorded session will be made available. I believe they usually post it on the fall orientation site. And I would imagine that will, kind of appear here, I don't know, probably in the next week or so would be my guess. I'm going to repost the link about changing a major, adding a major, adding a minor here. Here is that link here for you. Eric asks, where can he go to speak with a counselor? Right, that's those one-on-one advising sessions that Dr. Gardner and I are doing this week. In addition, I'm going to direct you to our general information wizard, and that's going to give you lots of different videos and advising things there. And I'm also going to post a link to our general advising information. If it doesn't allow you to add a major, I'm going to have you reach out to our HNSS success team here, and that's their email here. that you can kind of reach out to them. Where do you access your TDA? You're going to actually go to your portal, log in, and then up across the top, you'll see something that says Titan Degree Audit, and you'll be able to click on that and run your TDA there. Let's see
I have on
here.
the screen the list of recommended classes for fall. So this is really where to start. So I know this seems really overwhelming right now. So, and especially when you're thinking about your TDA, these classes that we recommend, we know everybody needs, because you couldn't have taken upper division classes at your community college. We know that everybody needs CJ 300. So I would recommend, like, put CJ 300 in your shopping cart, and then decide, do you want to do math, Soc 303, or do you want to do English? And then look for one of those classes, and then decide on one other criminal justice class you want to take, policing, corrections, or theories. And then decide, if you're still taking more classes, look for an ethnic studies class that you're going to need to take, and then maybe a cultural diversity class. Those would be the first things that I do. And you can go back and add more classes later. You don't need to have your whole schedule set up when you add classes. In fact, I recommend you go in, and if you just know 2 or 3 classes, just add those, and then come back and add other ones later if you're not sure if you want to take class A or class B. You can also look at the criminal justice handbook, and that tells you which classes you're going to need to take. But for the very first semester, while you kind of get acclimated to what you need, I would stick with this list here of getting those GE classes done and getting the criminal justice major stuff done.
All righty, if there's any last minute questions here, please throw them up in the chat really quickly. But we are about done with this session. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on time, because I know Dr. Gardner and I have another session to go to at 10 o'clock. So I'm just looking here really.
Sorry, there's a question about where there's a list of B5. So if you pull up your TDA, so if you do what Dr. Malakote said, which is go to your portal. So the first thing you need to do is be able to get set up on your portal. And if you go to your TDA, it will actually list all the B5 classes that satisfy that requirement. You can try and search the catalog, but I'll be honest, I haven't had a lot of success doing that in the past. Sometimes I seem to find the golden key and find all the classes that satisfy that requirement, but more often than not, I don't find that golden key. So the easiest way to do that is your TDA. Once your TDA is populated, and admissions and registration has a backlog of students that they're doing that for. So some folks may not even have their TDA ready yet. It just depends on how quickly Cal State Fullerton gets all of your transcripts from your university and transfers them over. So if you need to transfer information over from your community college, if you haven't sent all your transcripts over, you want to do that ASAP so that they can get your digital records transferred so you can know what classes you need here.
Erica asked a quick question about what classes are not recommended to take together. I would not take research methods, and I would not take criminal law together. All righty, I think that covers what we have here. For the ethnic studies course, it is included in the course catalog as well. Yes. If you click on that list of GE classes and you go down to the F requirement, it will list all of the courses that are qualified to meet that requirement. Scott, you find your registration date by going to your student portal. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here today. I know this is a lot of information. Know that your faculty are here to help you. And if you kind of focus on, just kind of making sure that you get into CJ 300, completing those upper division GEs, maybe taking your writing requirement this semester, you will be well on your way towards making progress towards your criminal justice major. All righty. Have a great day, everybody. And I know that both myself and Dr. Gardner, are really excited to see everyone back on campus. So, bye.
Bye.